Let's talk about complex sentences. So simple sentences have a subject and a verb, sometimes two subjects with two verbs. Compound sentences combine two full sentences, but complex sentences are going to add something that we call a dependent clause. So in a simple sentence where there's a subject and a verb, we create an independent clause. It can stand by itself. It is independent. Now, when we're working with complex sentences, we are using what are called subordinating conjunctions. When we use a subordinating conjunction, this creates something called a dependent clause. The words that are on the screen are some, although not all, of words that count as subordinating conjunctions. These are after, although, as, while, when, until, before, because, if, and since. When we use one of these words, we create a dependent clause. So, for complex sentences, we have a few options, two major options of how to create a complex sentence. One is that we begin with a dependent clause, then we put a comma, and then we have an independent clause. The other option is we start with an independent clause, have no comma, and then move on to our dependent clause. Here's what it looks like. If I start with the subordinating conjunction although, we get, although I woke up late, comma, I still made it to school on time. That although I woke up late isn't a full sentence. The sentence wants to keep moving. Although I woke up late, we have to finish it with a full sentence after the comma. I still made it to school on time. That could stand by itself if we needed it to. Now we can also switch the order of that. So we can begin with the independent clause. And when we begin with the independent clause, we don't need a comma in that sentence for the complex sentence purpose. So we could phrase this as, I still made it to school on time, although I woke up late. These are both complex sentences because we are using a subordinating conjunction, in this case, although, to create a dependent clause. Let's look at two more examples. I wouldn't be tired if I would have gone to sleep earlier. I wouldn't be tired if I would have gone to sleep earlier. The word if creates a dependent clause, so this counts as a complex sentence. Now look, we can change that. We can put the yellow section, the dependent clause at the beginning. And if we have a dependent clause at the beginning, we need the comma before the part of the sentence as a full sentence that could stand by itself. So we get, if I would have gone to sleep earlier, comma, I wouldn't be tired. This comma is necessary when we begin a sentence with one of these words, the after, although, as, when, while, until, before, because, if, or since. One last example. We can start sentences with because, so long as we have the comma and the full sentence after that independent clause afterwards. So because I stayed up late, I overslept. Or we can change the order, I overslept because I stayed up late. So these are our two options to create complex sentences, and usually beginning with a dependent clause mixes up our style of sentences if we get into this pattern of having too many simple or compound sentences. So consider changing up your sentence styles as we vary this to engage our reader.